You are the one to decide. This your agidi. Ever pay, ever for ya. To buy that one, what you go there.
And Nisuru, thanks for staying with us. I wish I understood the Yoruba completely. Well, I heard pounds, I heard dollars, I heard euros. Fire for fire, you know? So money is a necessary component of any democracy. It enables political participation, campaigning, and representation. However, if not effectively regulated, it can undermine the integrity of political processes and institutions and jeopardize the quality of democracy. Thus, regulations related to the funding of political parties and election campaign, commonly known as political finance, are a critical way to promote integrity, transparency, and accountability in any democracy. Good governance at all levels is fundamental to economic growth, political stability, and security. Good governance leads to improved economic benefits in a globalized world, and it accelerates economic transitions. But is good governance rather really possible in a society that has been infiltrated by politics and money? That's the question we're asking today. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-8663. You can also tweet at us at WadeShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WadeShow. All right, so I'm going to bring in Kunle Lawal in a minute, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts because, you know, we're talking behind the scene how everybody, you know, we had talked about this topic last week when we talked about presidency. Like, it seems like everybody wants to run for president. Yeah. Now, you know, and you made a very poignant point when you said that it seemed corruption has just, you know, demystified that office of the presidency, right? You know, everybody just feels like with money, I can do anything. So you see a lot of people. I saw one post online today where somebody was talking about her husband. I hear he's a rich man, very wealthy billionaire and all of that. And people just feel like money is just enough, you know, to run for political offices. You know, nobody's paying attention or putting some form of value or what's it called to the governance part of politics. You know, it's just not is one thing to win an election. It's another thing for you to actually be a good person to govern the state or whatever it is, the nation or whatever it is that is entrusted in your care, right? So what do you think, right?
Yeah, it's really annoying. And like I said before, I used to think that this seat of the president was a very, very important one.
Prestigious. Very prestigious.
But right now, they have demystified it. Like I said, there's nothing about it anymore that is mysterious. It's easy. You know, like I was saying, that very soon we'll have Boy Scouts, you know, coming out and running for presidency. So for me, I think that the concept of good governance is not a new one. You understand? Good governance is as old as human civilization. So it's just about decision making and the process of implementing these decisions. So when we are looking at decision making and the process of implementing the decisions, then we have to analyze governance. Then we can say whether this is good governance or bad governance. And when we are looking at good governance, then we'll think about the characteristics of a good governance, which involve transparency and accountability. Integrity. You know, in accordance with the rule of law. So now what we have, when we see these people coming out and throwing money around, like money is what would make you a good president, then I think we have to go back to the books and look at our governance process. How do we do the things that we do? You understand? So like you said before, in order to change things, sometimes we have to go to the root and then tackle the problems at the root. So I think we need to go back to the basics right now, because it's becoming crazy in Nigeria. Somebody said that they have turned our country into a circus, and I agree. You know, when you see people coming out, every Tom, Dick and Harry, we know where they keep these INEC papers. We know where these things are printed. Then we have the two people representing these two offices coming out also to say, me too. Like, what's going on here? So I think this is a very good topic today. We need to look at the process, you know, by which we as a nation, Nigeria, you know, look at governance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me bring in Kunle Lawal. Kunle Lawal is an entrepreneur, an idea generator, TEDx speaker, and patriot. He has a keen eye for opportunities based on his experience in politics, working with non-governmental organizations and the federal government. He is passionate about Nigeria and is what could be termed as a detribalized Nigerian. He considers his boundaries to be limitless and is really focused on changing the Nigerian narrative in political participation. He currently serves as the Executive Director of the Electoral College, Nigeria, and is also the country lead for War Chat NG. Kunle Lawal was once acting National Publicity Secretary of COA Party, Alliance for New Nigeria senatorial candidate in 2019, and has since transitioned to a non-partisan influential player in politics and electoral matters in Nigeria. And he's joined us via Zoom from Abuja. Thank you so much, Kunle Lawal, for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Lawal. It's a pleasure to be here as usual.
Thank you. Kunle, so this conversation is quite interesting because we're talking the politics of money and its impact on good governance. That's the topic for today. You know, when I saw that video with Senator Adeleke, it was the boldness for me, right? Because the truth is, he's one person I actually do respect his sincerity. No, because this is what every politician does in Nigeria, but they will not have the boldness to come out and do it in front of the people.
They shouldn't have the boldness to do
But wait, but he has some level of sincerity in saying it as it is, because we all know that politics is about money in this country, right? You know, so where do we even start from, you know, when we talk about the politics of money, and, you know, how is it impacting? Because right now, if we say the highest bidder gets the seat, what then happens when he has gotten that seat? What happens to the governance part of that politics?
You see, first, you cannot challenge a nation to understand something it hasn't understood. So I'll first start with separating politics and governance. So of course we have politics, which is the vehicle to elected office. And then we have governance, which is deliverance of executing, of course, objectives of the office of the elected. They're two separate things. Now, most Nigerians cannot separate politics from governance. Most politicians cannot separate politics from governance, which is the reason why we have party flags behind elected officers in seat of office. You're sworn to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is what guarantees your office, and not your political party. The political party is just a vehicle. So I know why I started with this, because I wanted to create a diagram. Now, it's easy to blame the politicians on videos and say, okay, they're giving money or whatever. But I would ask a question. The electorate demands nothing else but money. If you sit down today as a candidate, and I've seen this happen, or an aspirant, and you're trying to say, okay, I'm running for a legislative seat. Here are the bills I wish to present or put forward. People don't want to hear that. Or you say, I'm ready to amend this, I'm ready to do this, I'm ready to do that. And this is tested. Trust me, I've been part of that process, so I understand that this is not. So our politics is, the poverty of ideology is so high in our politics that it's only negotiating parameter is currency. And this is because we have nothing. Now, if you take an average sample of, and this is not about whether people are grassroots or not. The truth is Nigerians behave the same, whether grassroots, middle class, or elite. have 95% of them do not understand, have not read the Constitution, do not understand jurisdictions of offices they are voting for. I can tell you that you have aspirants that do not even know what they're talking about. So you look at a legislative poster now, which you're beginning to see around, and all they're talking about is they provide schools, will provide health. A legislator, no, you can't do that. You only have the legislative parameter to provide bills that would help support health, will help support education, or help support other things. So because the people don't even understand what exactly politics is, and most of the time they want to say the laws don't favor this. That's not true. Now, if you go to the electoral laws, there's a limit on offices running. There's a campaign limit, a funds campaign limit for people running for offices. So if you're running for president, the limit is 1 billion. If you're running for governor, it's 200 million. If you're running for Senate, it's 40 million. If you're running for House of Rep, it's 25 million. If you're running for local government chairman, State House of Assembly, it's 5 million. And if you're running for councillor, it is 2 million. But yet political parties in this country have the audacity to sell expression forms higher than even the campaign limits being put for some particular offices. And the truth is, no constitution is going to stand up and hit you on the head. Most of the time, people that have not read the Nigerian constitution sit down and tell you how bad it is. But the actual truth is that if you do not understand the constitution as a people, you cannot engage the system and produce better governance. So the truth is that we're just a how do I put it? We're a buffet of corruption because we are prepared by the fruits we don't understand, basically, in government. So you have this clash and this misunderstanding between most parameters and how money affects. Everybody always says they don't want money politics. But I'll ask you a question. The moment you tell your friends that you're running for office, you're the one buying drinks on the table. You're the one paying for lunch. You're the one helping their children go to school. The average people you know, the people you don't know, everybody requests, we're supporting you. I'd like to borrow a small adage from part of my life, 2019 preceding election night. And I paid for a particular community, which I'll mention. I paid for children who were, of course, gifted in that school to go to one of Abuja's prime schools. And, we had put in quite some money. And maybe I'll say I was politically naive, but I paid for 3 years instead of paying for just 1 year so that I'm still holding them on the downgrade. But I paid for 3 years. And the night before that election, you have people asking me, I know you've helped our children, but so person running for office has brought some amount. Please, can you bring an amount close to so that we'll look at you because you've done something for our kids? And that's how much it is in Nigeria. And the funny thing is, like I said, the middle class thinks it's out of it, but the middle class is even just as guilty. Who carries the money? You don't see the elite going to the grassroots. The middle class is the conduit for carrying money for politics across the board. And most people were talking about forms and the number of people. And for me, the office of the president will always be sacred and always be respected. The issue is the quality of people that now choose to aspire, or the number of people that choose to aspire. There's totally no rhetoric or no baseline foundation for you to run for a particular office in Nigeria. Just have money. But we created it. I think that's what's necessary.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
If we created it,
I like the way he said a buffet of corruption.
If we created it, I'm wondering where will it stop? Because what is scary for me right now is not even so much of, probably what has happened in the past, because I have seen the worst that could happen in the past. It is what the future would look like if we continue on this trajectory, right? So when you talked about the elite, how did you put it, or middle class? Did you mention middle class? People like us that were supposed to be, that were supposed to be enlightened and all of that. I am wondering, we are not part of those people that would ask for money. The biggest problem that we have right now in Nigeria is that ignorance, that gap, that where a lot of people do not even understand, how this is impacting. Somebody was asking me something, that would somebody sell their vote for 1,000 naira or 5. I said to the person, I said, at this rate in Nigeria, even for 200 naira,
200 naira, they would do that.
Because again, it just, so the killing that happened in Lekki just further buttressed how impactful 100 naira is. And these politicians always continue, even when you have good intentions, right? When you have good intentions as a politician, you know, they get to that point where they also become frustrated and they say, you know what, if it's money they want, just give them the money. After 4 years, they won't see me again. I'll go and do what it is I need to do. So we have gotten to that point where, and that is what is scary for me. It doesn't, I have seen the worst that can happen in the past. I'm saying that where we are going, Kunle, this is really deep, because it just means that it's going to get bad. If we continue at this trajectory, there's no end in sight to how vicious it will become with the money game in playing this politics in Nigeria. It's only going to get worse. So where do we even come out? How do we start to come out of this mess that we have gotten ourselves into?
Okay, first, before I go into the solutions, I'll first like to reiterate something. So a lot of people like to say the middle class won't ask for money, but the middle class does, and I'll give you an example. The moment, like now, let me even use a basic example of what's happening. So now, Waze has invited me to a show. I'm speaking here freely. The moment I declare I'm running for office, and this is not to Waze directly, I'm just using an example because I don't want to call another show. So the moment I've declared I'm running for office, Waze will charge me. Now this is not to Waze, like I need to repeat this. Waze will charge me 1 million naira to be on the show. It happens with blogs. Blogs that used to carry stuff. And the moment you declare you're running for office, it costs so amount, Everything is a price difference at this thing. Middle class for me is the direct recipient of corruption in Nigeria. And that's the honest truth. We choose not to accept it. Yes, they do not accept 1,000 for a vote. But preceding that vote occurring, middle class is at every step making politics as expensive as it is in Nigeria. Now let's look at solutions, and I think this is where, first, I think the problem we refuse to accept is no matter how educated we are, I've stated 95% of Nigeria's entire population is politically illiterate. It's bad to the fact we do not understand local government, which is why we have less than an 8% of voting population participation in the local government election. Our political illiteracy goes as much as not knowing what the flags behind the president represent. I remember there was an ongoing argument one time when the flag was noticed, which represents the armed forces. And people were saying it's a Cuban flag, or I don't know, they came up with so many things. Anyway, let's go back to the point. So political illiteracy is a very, very big thing. The second thing that I think we have a massive problem with is that we're not part of the actual election process. So the entire Nigeria allows, so I'll give you the average party for a presidential primaries right now will have about 7,000 or 8,000 delegates. We're not part of the party. We're not concerned with the system. We don't join political parties. Now, not everybody is supposed to, but a reasonable number. We're 200 million. A reasonable number of us to be part of this. And if we are part of political parties, we now will be able to change the narrative which we have in Nigeria. I don't believe, and this is not to say, I don't believe we have an election in Nigeria. What we actually have is a selection. And here's why. So 7,000 people choose who the rest of 200 million of us are going to be, or 120 million of us are going to be voting for or not voting for. And these delegates, we refuse to be part of it. So you hear some people saying, okay, let me use present time an example. People say, oh, I want Peter Obi to emerge from the PDP. Guy, it's not going to emerge. Or girl, it's not going to emerge. You want to know why? You're not a delegate. You are not going to be able to allow him ascend and become a candidate of a political party. Because all you're in love with, or you understand, is you're not part of the process. So till they bring out whoever, Mr. A and Mr. B, and say, these are your candidates, then you can vote. That's the only time Nigerians have a decision to make. But those decisions are predetermined by delegates. So as long as we do not participate fully in political parties, we're going to continue to have this quagmire going up and down. A lot of us need to go into political parties, become part of the system, work within the system, understand how it works, and then try to move forward.
Okay.
Another solution I think I'll be looking at clearly is that we need to stop thinking that America, France, Ghana, Rwanda is Nigeria. We are complex with our own complex problems, so our own solutions must be internal. Now, I think one of the key solutions is even understanding the Constitution. Now, there's this thought process that in Nigeria, the Constitution belongs to lawyers. And lawyers help sell that because lawyers too believe that the Constitution is their birthright. Meanwhile, the average lawyer, well, let me not go into that. But the truth is that the Constitution is actually the holy book of being a citizen. If you've not read it and you're not concerned about it, then you can't call yourself Nigerian. It's that bad. It's more important than having a passport to Jakarta, because the passport only has to do with external stuff, and you need to understand the way the Constitution works so that you can begin to have serious engagement. I always ring this a lot. You cannot engage the system you do not understand. So most of the time, we find ourselves discussing business, discussing politics, discussing what is going to happen from a totally blind sight. I'll tell you the average thing. Most people say, local government chairman, I don't have access to. I have access to the chairman, but it seems that the federal is not giving money. The federal gives money, check. The federal gives money always. You don't know. And somewhere along the line, they'll say, state governors are collecting. If state governors are collecting, then sue the local government chairman. He has no immunity, or you don't know that. When you sue him and he goes to jail, next time you give him, or next time another one is giving money, you won't give it out. So you need to understand the Constitution and how it works. And everybody just wants to say, Lord Dugard. I always laugh when I hear Lord Dugard talk from Nigerians. Well, when you were having parties with First Start in 1977 when the oil boom was great, and we're paying people 3 times their salary, Lord Dugard was not the problem. Then now Lord Dugard is your problem. You can't selectively choose what is the problem or not. And I think another system is we need to understand that we are Nigerian first before anything else. So most people are drunk in thinking they're from one tribe or they're this or they're that, and that's affected our decision making. I want my brother there. Okay, when your brother was there, what development was brought to your constituency? Nothing. You're just high on, and this is drug high, if I'm allowed to say that. This is drug high on the fact that someone from my local government or from my clan or community or ward is in power.
Okay, Kunle, we need to just take a very quick break, right? When we come back from the break, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us now. If you just tuned in, we are discussing the politics of money and its impact on good governance with Kunle Lawal. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag #WayShow. All right, so Mani, you had a question for Kunle.
Yes, I do. So, Kunle, we're talking about the politics of money. So right now, what we see is that the politics of money is the politics of exclusion. So how would an individual who, really wants to serve, how would he play in this game without money?
Well, maybe I found myself caught within those lines, so I'll attempt to answer from how maybe I approached it. So you already have, there's always opportunity in chaos. So everybody chose money and nothing else. So in my time while running in 2019, I was able to propose 49 bills during the campaign year, which is higher than, of course, any legislator in Nigeria. I adapted, of course, systems to break, a lot of TV interviews that, of course, didn't cost the campaign, but helped me decipher what since I was running the FCT, what the FCT could be at Abuja, what Abuja could be as a place, and just pick up everything that everybody else is not doing. That's the only way to work, and then you maybe hope for the best. So, of course, obviously, I'm not a senator, but I had a race that's enviable by a lot of our aspirants and candidates still today. And that was how I was able to walk through it without having the kind of funds that are ill-gotten or as the game goes.
So, Kunle, I was going to ask you, what would be a legal approach to eradicating money from politics, right? Because I know that, I mean, there's supposed to be certain kinds of amount of money that should not be exceeded, even when you're running for your campaigns and all those things put together. You know, there's a standard that, there's a benchmark that INEC has given that should not be exceeded. But we see that most of these political parties, they over exceed self, you know, by hundreds and thousands of percentage, right? So what would be a legal approach if we want to take out money from the political game in Nigeria and just focus on the politics itself and find a way, you know, because I believe that if money is excluded from this transaction, then we might have some ray of hope for good governance, because it means that it's no longer about money, it's about people that are ready to work. That's when you now start seeing the right people coming into the game to really play the game, because they understand that I am here to do the work and not because my money brought me here. So how do we legally approach this?
Well, there always will be money in politics. Let's not lie about it. Let's just be honest. There always be money in politics. It's the way politics is built. Now, is it supposed to dictate the way politics runs? No. Earlier, I told you the limits by INEC. So, has anybody tried to test law? Has anybody tried to sue a particular person? Okay, somebody gives 100 cars. Those 100 cars cost so. I'm suing this aspirant based on the fact he has infringed on the financial limits placed by INEC. Nobody does that. And then you're wondering how you're going to eradicate it. So sometimes, you know, when the NBA says it's an NGO and it's doing stuff, I wonder what the NBA is doing. Anyway, no offense, but that's what I think. And nobody has tried to, you know, push the laws. Okay, you can wait and say, okay, you know what? The other candidate, I was second, but the other candidate, he gave out some amount of money infringing on this particular part of the Electoral Act, which states that the money, the limit for our spending while running for office is this. And nobody has tested it, but yet you want to stop money in politics. How does that work? I think we really love money in politics, that's the truth. I think we're also enticed by
it. Funny, you have a comment. Kunle Lawal, this matter is serious, you.
Okay, your guest has said it all. Poverty of ideology, that's the bend. My heart bleeds when I see people who are expected to know better, guilty, not asking questions on pedigree of aspirants. Yes, his manifesto. Remember the mindset issue you treated some time ago? Do you mean there are no poor people in the US, yet we celebrate mediocrity? It's an infant flouting money on the Nigerian electorate.
It's an insult.
It's an insult, sorry. It's an insult, flouting money on the Nigerian electorate, and which I really agree with him. It shouldn't be about money. We're talking about service here. But right now...
Let me state something.
Okay.
In Nigeria, is flouting money a problem?
It's not.
It has never been a problem.
Okay. So you remove the culture of flouting money from people, the flouting money in politics remain. We need to understand that these things are related. So flouting money is in our culture. To run for governor in the US, the form for Texas is $5,000. That's about, it's not much. But you even have an option to pay or not. If you say my income does not mean I can pay for a form, it means you cannot be denied, because they understand your right as an individual to run for office. Nigeria is not yet there. I don't like comparing most of the time, but we're not yet there. We have a culture that is embedded on corruption. It is our lifestyle. So what do you think? Politics will exclude itself, and then our culture of throwing money at weddings and throwing money at anything we feel like throwing money. When last did anybody recognize someone that was doing something for who he was, and the person didn't have touch? I think that's what we need to ask ourselves.
So I want to take you, Kunle, to the quotes that we quoted for today. by Richard Salzman. It says the only way to get money out of politics is to get politics out of money making, right? Do you agree with that? And if you do, can we make politics less lucrative for people? Is it possible?
Let me explain. Money in politics thrives because the people are placed in a position where they will need money. So they guarantee that this circle of politics continues as is, which is from that cooked state. Now, if you want politics and money out of politics, the simplest way to do it is to create an economy that thrives and works for all, demands good governance, raises the bar, builds a culture that we are able to see beyond the money. And then at that point, we can now take money out of politics. But if Nigeria remains as is, with all the Dorime actions happening in Lagos, no, money is going to remain.
Nari Dorime. Good evening, my beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #ways. The politics of money and its impact on good governance. This is an important topic. You cannot remove politics from money and vice versa. To me, if money is removed in politics, there will definitely be good governance. But in Nigeria, it is not the case because people love it like that. Sister, I can feel your pain. You are healed in Jesus' name. Amen. My dear beautiful sister Money, you are looking lovely and beautiful today. Thank you, Daniel Elo. We're his regular fan.
Thank you, Daniel.
So, Kunle, as we try to wrap this conversation, because it's something that, can we, okay, so for instance, let's take the reason we even started to discuss this topic in the first place, Senator Adeleke, and his boldness to come out at a campaign rally to say, because I asked you about the legal approach, you talked about, have we called up, questioned anybody, have we written, like saying we're suing someone and all of that, but he has come out now to say that he did not only bring, nowadays it's even interesting because even the electorate, they understand that our naira is not valuable anymore. So he has told you that I did not come only with naira, I came with dollars, I came with pounds, and I came with euros, right? So there is money. And he says this boldly at a campaign rally, right? So are you trying to tell me, Kunle, that this cannot be used as something to what's it called? Probably stop his political fight for the governorship of that state? Is not possible to use that?
Well, it is possible, but remember the Oliver Twists in the judiciary who are going to toss that case from a lower court and take it up to the Supreme Court. Now, no offense, but we know how it's going to go. It's going to be bought out. So there are lots of things. We people have to really stand up and make a statement of these things. If somebody flouts that money, I'd like to see a local government say, we're not voting for this party in this local government in the next election because of that deed being done. But that sounds very good to the ears. But I know something about Nigerians. We're kind of, we're kind of gluttony. It's like, how can there be politics without money in Nigeria? It's like going to a party without small chops. That's what we think.
Is that even without small chops, without that gun spraying of money and all of that? I mean, when you said that, it really hit home because there's technically nothing you do right now in Nigeria that if money is not involved, you're not important. They don't even take you seriously. So it's a culture that has eaten. So it's a culture of money that we have, right? So can we approach this, maybe from the cashless? I don't know how to explain. Like for instance, abroad, I mean, the first time I spent £50 in a store, they called manager, called everybody to be sure that money is not fake because they are not used to. They are not in a society where they are used to seeing a lot of money, right? Can we, if we approach it from that standpoint, is there any hope that we would actually start to shift the minds around this, money culture that we have? Is it possible?
There's something about society. There's culture, meaning it's a way of life. So throwing money is a way of life in Nigeria. You can't rob the people of their culture. What you can do is alter the culture, or maybe teach the next ones not to think of that. But as long as they are O and best, as long as people dance in a club and are being sprayed, as long as our tradition is throwing money in the air, it is always going to occur. We have built our entire thought process around it, and nothing is going to change it. So even if we reduce the amount of cash in the economy, people will bring in more cash. Dollars are not reducing the amount of cash. You didn't hear it brought down here. So we only have control over the naira. So that's not going to change anything. So it's a culture mindset. And like I would always say, Nigeria will continue to remain 774 countries in one national boundary till we wake up and fix our politics.
No, but in 2021 August, the CBN put out an article saying that they were working with the EFCC and the police to arrest the people who spray naira notes at parties. You know, so I think so many things are already in place. They just are not being implemented. So it's in Nigeria, we go back to the implementation, and that's what good governance is about. It's about making the right decisions, and then also the process of implementing these decisions or not implementing them. So I think we can round up by saying that we just have bad governance in our country. Because
no, I think I'd like to round up saying this.
Okay.
Nigeria has more laws on corruption than any other country in the world. Nigeria has more of electoral laws than anywhere else.
Okay.
I don't need to explain. The problem has never been implementation. Laws don't stand up and wake up and keep people. The problem has always been that the Nigerian always finds a way to break performing straight or break the line. So we never run a race straight, and that has always been our problem, and it has affected everything.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think laws will always be broken, or they will be broken. But what's the position of the government agencies that are supposed to implement the punishment
for those broken
laws? So
laws.
It's not even about the breaking of the law.
Let me butt in here. How many people actually went to driving school, got a driving license? How many people got an international passport legally without paying extra money? You want that same set of society to produce a leader that is you're joking.
I got my passport legally, Kunle, Lawal.
I said issue of how many.
Yeah, that's the problem. But thank you so much. We ran out of time, but we're going to keep this conversation. Hopefully when you're back in Lagos, we'll have maybe another part of this conversation, because I feel like, you know, there's a lot going on right now. And, you know, the good thing for social media is helping. People can see for themselves. So hopefully we'll be able to find, and keep talking about this, so that people their minds are awakened to this reality that this will never lead us anywhere good. Thank you so much, Kunle Lawal. Thank you, Manny. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagrams at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. The only way to get money out of politics is to get politics out of money making. It's a very, very strong quote. We'll see you guys live at 8 p.m. tomorrow as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.